Got it. And that is an air-conditioned tent, as I recall, yeah? Cool.
Well, not the shower tent. The shower tent's not air-conditioned.
No, I mean the other tent. The other tent.
The other tent.
More Hexagers will be going up tomorrow, by the way. We have a, that's right, Gina's over there. And we will be going out to Home Depot this afternoon to pick up his construction materials, which consists of insulation board and duct tape.
Yeah.
And it's working. It's great. There are no other tools required, right? Insulation board and duct tape. A little craft knife to cut the insulation board. Got it. Looking pretty good out there.
And come and build them with us.
And come and build them with him.
Once you've seen it done, you'll never forget how to do it.
Once you see it done, you'll never forget how to do it. I can't do the Scottish Baroque. Next, speak.
I just wanted to make a little correction. In our report.
Correction on the report.
Yeah, what is it called? Flashlight? Cam light from Homeland Security Group.
From Homeland Security Group.
We were using it without any problems. We didn't have it crash any of our networks. And we had it with us at the beach.
You had it with them at the beach,
so
and your network didn't crash, so somebody else crashed.
Yes, but we.
Well, yes, but.
I'm just saying, I don't think you can blame that.
Oh, okay, all right. So it did good. And at some point, somebody's going to probably ask you what it is.
Well, basically, we were having a lot of fun with it because there we were at the beach, and we
were at the beach,
and we had him wandering around the beach. Stand up for a second. Imagine
we had this man wandering around the beach.
Beautiful women, bikinis, guys carrying their surfboards, and here he is walking along the beach in broad daylight with something that looks like a flashlight.
Walking around with a flashlight.
Yeah.
You go to San Diego, nobody's been keeping
pointing at, yeah, nobody didn't really care. And he's pointing it at people on their blankets, and we're like, yeah, her. Yeah, and I talked to Tim Murphy over in Chantilly, and he told me, yeah, we got it on the big screen. We had a lot of fun with it.
So that flashlight is a camera?
It is a camera.
Okay.
And it's a wireless.
It's a flashlight form factor?
Video and audio. It's a video and audio wireless self-powered camera.
Wireless self-powered camera.
That looks exactly like a flashlight.
That looks like a flashlight.
Like a mag light. Yeah, it looks like a big mag light.
I got a lot of thumbs up today.
You got a lot of thumbs up today. You made friends from all over Chantilly because they can't be in San Diego in August. Got it. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Pete. Anything else? Looking around. Yeah. Sure, Mr. Robert Kirkpatrick needs to identify himself. The guy in the green shirt in the back with the brown hair. Okay, Robert, this gentleman, afterwards, I think. Keeping going along the line. Yes, yes. Anything? Anything? Yes, sir. There's a rumor about REI equipment. Yes, that is correct. If Golden Halo is showing up, note the qualifier. Okay, Gary Baker has just been beaten to pieces over the last couple of weeks. He is the one that was that had the REI equipment donated, as well as all the food, the CNN feed, the satellite link, all of that, and then had the trailer turned off. You probably will have heard about all this. It is possible that Gary will show up tomorrow. I know that he left yesterday for a 20-hour drive to get down here and set up some stuff to try and fulfill what he perceives to be his obligation to put food on this site at no charge for all of you. I have several times said, Gary, for God's sake, just quit. Come back next time. I promise we'll hold another Strong Angel just for you. However, he said, and this is a quote, I don't quit. Unquote. So, Gary, I suspect, is going to show up on site and he's going to feed some people, and he's going to have the REI sleeping bags and tents, and people who want to stay on site can do so, and if you use it, you stay on site, you take it with you when you leave. That was his understanding to me. If he actually makes it, honest to goodness, no kidding, that man deserves a huge round of applause. Okay? This guy has, and he's not tech, he's trying to serve those who are serving. It's a wonderful position for him to take, and he is absolutely determined to succeed. It's a wonderful thing to watch.
Does anyone know anyone in Forbes magazine? Because there's one hell of a story waiting to be written about inspirational leadership and perseverance.
There you go. Inspirational leadership, perseverance. Who do we know in Forbes? Janet. Right. Okay. She's chewing. Never mind. So we'll keep going around. at 7 o'clock, 1900 for those meal types who won't care because it's an NGO meeting. The NGOs are meeting where?
That's across the way where the food has been.
Where the food has been across the way. There's been food. Has anybody had a little snack over in the shadow? Okay, all right.
It's called the Stone Soup Kitchen.
That means that you must bring a little bit of something someday. Cool. All right, great. So, Angie, I'm sorry, bottom line and all that. NGO meeting?
Yes.
Now we have 10 on site.
Sorry.
You want just NGOs?
Yes, please.
Okay, yes, please, she says. Just NGOs over there at 7 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Online meeting, public-based meeting, posts, website, blog, et cetera. 9:30 tomorrow,
09:30, a meeting for those doing public, you have to restate that for me, I'm sorry. Public information, the websites, the blogs, the wikis, the forums, and all of that. How to do that effectively is going to be, how to coordinate what's going in, right? 09:30 tomorrow. Would you please remind me at 7:55 tomorrow? I appreciate that. Continuing around, anything? Yes, sir?
Working with Google, we've actually cataloged all the capabilities and created GPS coordinates on those. And so what we're going to do is put up on the Google site each of these capabilities. I won't read the entire list. But essentially, we've got a SATCOM link that's been put up, the modular command center, some chemical decontamination stations. 4 of those are operational tomorrow. Some breathing devices, a bunch of workstations, a bunch of other technology, secure conferencing, etc. What we're going to do with Google is basically, I'm going to have longitude and latitude coordinates for each of these capabilities. And when you go to the Google Maps site, what will happen is then as you float over it, the capabilities will be there, the quantity, the operational status of it, obviously the physical location. Now this is of course a very small scenario, it's all around 110, but the idea is that you could then locate services anywhere by just putting that up into the Google Earth site. So I've got it on a stick here, I'm going to give it to the Google guys and we're going to put it up this evening.
Okay, one last. General Atomics, where are you? There you are. Hi. Would you be willing to chat for just a moment about what you've got in the way of an understanding of San Diego critical infrastructure, because you have done some really amazing work.
Same setting for tomorrow. Same setting for tomorrow.
I'm Duke Clark from General Atomics. Hi, here we go. Duke Clark from General Atomics. We have a table right above the, right next to the end of the walkway for the mezzanine upstairs. We produced a project called Spirit, which is an analysis of the critical infrastructure in San Diego County. We looked at the electrical grid, water grid, hospital systems, transportation systems, and first responder locations. And we broke it all down to assess how the impact of the electrical loss that's part of this scenario would affect the other parts of the infrastructure. You talk to the electrical authorities, they know their grid inside out, but they generally know their effects, how a particular substation will affect water flow in a particular water district. Hospitals, etc., have generators and water supplies for a limited period of time. If you've lost electricity, particularly in this town, which has one pipeline supplying fuel to this whole county, you aren't going to have fuel for very long with those generators. It's a multi-dimensional problem, much like we're seeing here. It's limited to San Diego County. That was the scope of our project. It can be applied just about anywhere. We have status sheets that evolve through time on the status of hospitals, police offices, transportation systems,
Okay, so anybody who's going out to one of the districts, please make sure that you get a bit of an update on the infrastructure that's likely to be around you when you get out there, and then come back with some story about what you actually found. Okay, that will help us a lot. This, as far as we know, has not been done in this layer of cascading depth. I have seen the raw data that they originally analyzed down to what you see here. It's remarkably good. And some of it we have deliberately withheld. It's the stuff that is available on the web caught everybody by surprise. Okay, one last turn around the room. Anything? I'll see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks very much. Before there was any such thing as a strong angel, and is somebody that I relied upon to get my understanding of what happened in Rwanda and in the camps of Central Africa during the refugee migrations there, because that's where he was working and running small sections of the world. That's Mark Krutzalis, who's sitting here now. Up just for a second, Mark. One of the better humanitarians I know. Well done. He is here with the IBM disaster response team, but that is not your title, right? What is it? What is the name of it? DRT? Okay. Disaster response team with Brent Woodward. Brent and I were together with Mark in Banda Aceh. When they came through, they were working from the Sri Lankan side toward the east. We were working just in Banda Aceh. Nice job, Mark. Good to have you here. Couple of other things. Media. We have media here today. They will be officially coming by about noon and staying for the afternoon, kind of keeping track, wandering from table to table, chatting about what it is that you're doing. Not surprisingly, they're here now. They have arrived a little early. Some of them are doing that table walking thing. Some are just kind of getting your stuff to the place. Please be patient with them. They are here to figure out why it is that you've got all the trouble coming together. Please be detailed but lay in your explanations. Some of you have very specialized vocabularies. Please recognize a broad audience. Okay? The Highlands folks, as I mentioned, will be here this afternoon. In preparation for today, we're going to recreate some of what we did yesterday. Send you back out to collect stuff. I've had a number of people come by the table and say, yes, we got X done, but now we want to do Y and Z, and a little L and L prime would be useful. So, great, do all of those things. I have requested some forms, I've requested some information, I've requested some mashups. I've made sure that those at least who have come to me feel challenged today. But if you go out today, if you go out into the field, and many of you intend to do so, and you've got lots of mechanisms for doing it, you must check out with the incident commander. The incident command system is global. It has nothing to do with a domestic response. It has everything to do with keeping an orderly disaster response underway. So if you leave, we're now 2 days into this, right? If you leave, do it in an orderly fashion. That is in part because the allocation of resources will be done through the incident commander, and the understanding of what capabilities are in each vehicle will be mapped by the incident commander. So in order to make sure that we know who's out there and what they're doing and where our gaps are, you need to make sure that you tell the incident commander what you're doing, what you're bringing with you, and when you'll be back. That is a 9 a.m. brief, 9 a.m. brief over in 480. Okay? Anybody out to the field, 9 a.m. brief over in 480. There will be another discussion with Chantilly today. That, if you remember, is one of our remote sites in Chantilly, Virginia. There will be a fairly large number of people there. We have built multiple layers in how we want to communicate with them, and we're going to try all of them. I have used 3 of them this morning, and those 3 are working beautifully. Connectivity off the balcony, as we would expect, is becoming more robust. And by and large, things are coming together quite nicely. You'll find that you have good connectivity, good signal when you get up onto the platform, and you will also note that through the course of the day, you will see resources come and go that only emphasize the fact that we are now flexible and robust instead of the fragility that we have had previously. All of that was expected, and it's now building as it should. Field units, when you go out, you need to be able to stay in contact. Yesterday, I know at least one unit that had zero connectivity until we found somebody who knew who you were and was able to call you cell phone to cell phone, personal to personal. That's not the way to do business. Not domestically, not internationally, not with a grain of common sense. Okay, you've got to make sure you're connected before you go, and you test your connectivity before you leave the plaza. Make sure we know where you are and how to reach you if we need to. We had a little tiny real-world urgency yesterday and couldn't reach the people we needed to reach. Please don't let that happen again. Not real world, not play. Okay? And on a slightly lighter note, party tonight. After the 1800 brief, right here, there will be stuff. There will be music, there will be food and drink, and we are not by any means quitting. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you have certainly earned a bit of a reward. It's been a challenging 72 hours. You've done absolutely amazing work, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Party tonight, but be conscious tomorrow. Because tomorrow, in the course of the afternoon, we're going to do something that may seem quite tedious, but it's absolutely necessary. And that is, we're going to go from person to person, representative for the groups, the individual efforts, and we're going to ask, what's happened? You've been here for 96 hours or better. What's happened? And we're going to capture it all. It's all going to be filmed. If you've been here for 96 hours and nothing has happened, please just say, pass. And if you waste your 15 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it's going to be, minutes of fame, seconds of fame, whining about wireless communications on the balcony, you're missing an opportunity. Okay. We know that. We know that. What's it? And Nigel has a point on that. We'll get back to that. So tomorrow, beginning at 1400, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, big hand on the 12, little hand on the 2. I don't have any Air Force here, do I? Sorry. We're going to get together here, and we'll move around from time to time. We won't make it a solid couple of hours, but I want to start from some random spot and move out and capture what you've done. We will have multiple people taking notes, so be prepared to explain succinctly what you have done that has mashed up, that has helped the objectives. Okay? So collaborate, cooperate, all of that. Make sure you have something to tell me tomorrow. And if you don't have it yet, use today to figure it out. Okay? Languages. We have done a little field testing, and we find that some stuff that we did not think would work works pretty darn well. So we're going to be testing the language feed from the field today, and we're going to be translating in real time on machine-based systems. I don't expect perfection, but I do expect the feed to work, and that's related to what I want from tonight. Tonight I'll go back into my presidential appointee CDC representative, I know nothing about your neighborhood mode, and what I expect is a breakdown in a proper format of the various sectors that are of interest to me, and field reports that we did not have yesterday. We talked about how we got some information. We didn't have the actual reports coming in. We now have access to all the data. We talked about that yesterday, the American Red Cross data. We now have access to all the hospital data because you built yesterday all of that access information. You've now got good working databases that talk across vendors. We had 6 different GIS vendors all working off the same data set yesterday and able to share. That's remarkable. By the way, the guys last night at the House Forum were pretty damn impressed with that. That alone is really nice work. We don't see that very much. Okay, we've never seen that before. We have food here, as you know. Gary Baker has arrived. Where is he? He's there. It's the guy in the gray shirt. Gary Baker, Golden Halo. Well done. And with him, supporting him, because it does take collaboration and cooperation, is Trinity Church, which has done a fabulous job in bringing in. It's a great pleasure, by the way, to have people here from all over the world, and it would be nice to recognize the fact that we have people that are on air and that would like to chat with us. And I'm going to turn this over to Nigel for a description of the scenario, and I'll be right back.
To continue Eric's graceful handoff there, in support of Golden Halo and many other activities is the American Red Cross, who I think very much deserve a round of applause as well. And of course for their efforts in providing us with data and playing with us by testing their own field system in conjunction with Shadowlight and the rest of what we're doing. I wanted to talk a little bit about something else, which is that we don't just make life hard for all of you. Doug Hanchard, who is on the executive committee from Bell Canada, I saw his light on at 3 in the morning. I said, Doug, what would happen if we had a fire in one of the comms bands? Because we just haven't had enough comms problems so far. Doug, being who he is, said, I'll figure it out. Apparently, not even apparently, he worked all night putting together an alternative network solution to the one that is currently providing stuff upstairs. We're going to sit with Cisco, who's providing the solution at the moment, and see how we gracefully hand them over and do a bit of a test and a desktop planning. And if we're confident that this will work, we might have a short interruption this morning to test and trial it over. Because the resilience and the robustness and the need to talk to each other so these two systems can go from one to the other on a completely parallel and separate link to the outside world is something we'd like to try. And we figured you guys haven't had enough interruptions already. Going through the rest of my list. Another piece about the scenario today, Eric gave a short brief on it with regard to what's going to happen over there, and I'll ask our incident commanders to make sure that they can inform us of what else might be needed. Is that with our press and with our media today, we can have a lot of people coming on board, visiting the compound. We have the Highlands Forum coming. The scenario says we're in the midst of a pandemic. One thing we want to be really sure of there is that people who arrive are not sick. We have some idea about where they've come from so we can do tracing. And we may well be, by having a facility like this, the place where people who are sick come for help if the normal hospital systems don't stand up or are overwhelmed. So the challenge I'm throwing in to these folks and to all of you today is to make sure that we have a way to capture, plot and integrate all of that data for every visitor that comes on site. And as many of you as well who are here. We have your contact details, we've been working hard on that, but I'd like to make sure that where we're from and what information about us is visible and viewable on those couple of systems we've got. The other piece is that we've done hospital assessments, we've got the hospitals mapped, but we need to be able to tell the difference between different types of facilities. So today is really a day of refinement, of more data collection, and of integration of those systems that we developed yesterday. And I'd hope some thinking about some of the comments and interventions made by our international colleagues about what is actually required for a system to be deployed internationally or appropriately in a local community, or just appropriately in the hands of a first responder in an international response. I'll also be getting some people together this afternoon at 2 p.m. to do a brief about the international disaster response system in terms of who you might be likely to see, what some of the likely roles are, because a number of people have asked about this because we have many people familiar with the US and domestic system. But there's mysteries of what is the UN, what is the Red Cross and how do they work together, how do NGOs play, how do they fit with the government in a response is something that we've mentioned regularly, but we'd like to give a brief on it because there's been a bit of a demand for that. Looking through Eric's unintelligible scroll, which is the fact that, again, all the photos, Dave, where are you? Dave's wandered off. Dave's terabyte drive, well, a small extension of it is going to be coming around again today for everybody to upload their photos to, because we have some phenomenal indexing and search technology on the photos, and we're going to make that accessible to everybody after the event. And it'll also help with the social networking analysis that various people are doing as a research subject here. If you don't want your photos up there, please don't upload them. The other piece is that the NIMS training is on today. Let me just double check the time. Right after the briefing. It's over the other side there. It's in this building over here. Yet again, I need coffee first. The NIMS training is in this building over here immediately after the briefing. At 0900 we have the incident command doing a briefing for today's sorties over the far side. And yet again, might I say, please don't head out without making sure that you've got data collection devices, some new data collection forms which have been hacked up already, and tracking devices. So check in before heading out so we can get the most value out of today. Does anyone have any inputs before I say let's get running? Yep.
I just wanted to let the guys know during the mapping that we were able to find the problems that were correcting some of the rate crossing that we were inputting to the DMAC. And so that's been corrected. You should just go ahead and try and pull down KML or RSS feeds. Also, the RSS feeds today have all three types of GIS mapping that were requested by various organizations that were trying to map them into their user interface. I think you'll be very happy with the outputs. There's 400 plus records in there now. We're going to push in waves of 400 to 500 records throughout the day and through tomorrow.
And a final piece that should have been announced much earlier this morning, but if anyone has minor cuts or abrasions or some very, very basic first aid, could we please say that the assembly point or place for help is over near the Incident Command Center, over the side of that building there. Near where the food is being set up, there'll be a small first aid station there. But if anyone has anything at all serious, it is call 911. We have docs available, but we're not going to be able to rely on them necessarily to be here at any time, and they're not necessarily part of the local response system. So that's the thing we told you right at the beginning, and we'd like to make sure that you continue that. Band-aids we can handle.
We will be providing. Good morning. I'm located over by where the birth trailer is, in the corner by Shadowlight, and in the context of this scenario, we're going to be here looking after those who look after others. And so what the complex this big, what we'd like to do is if anybody has experience that could help us with a number of elements. The first element is to have people who would go out and be able to do like ad hoc little mini training sessions on how to prevent yourself from being exposed to this pandemic when you go out on your missions. Secondly, this is self-care, buddy care. What happens if you see a friend of yours who looks like they're getting febrile, having a temperature, not feeling well? What are the steps you should take? And thirdly, there's somebody that really appears that they are coming down with something very untoward, that we will be having a sick call area set up to the side of Merck on the starboard side of the trailer. And the other side, we have a very sick trauma patient there right now that's taking all our time. But if anybody could help us with that, and be willing to help us with that, Ruben over here will be your point of contact. Can't miss them over by the trailer. If you could just let us know, we'd really appreciate it. And then later on, you may need help with worry well management, but we'll talk about that another time. Thanks.
And as per usual, we'll be announcing by every means possible. Certainly this and everybody, I'm sure, got bugged to heck yesterday by the Code Spear announcements about coming over 12 different mechanisms via email and cell phone and SMS and even the community band radio. Who never received a single announcement yesterday by any of their devices? Okay, who of those people has no devices? Okay. So as far as I can tell, we had 100% coverage via one mechanism or another of an announcement yesterday that went over via the electronic devices, be they Spotwatch or the community band radio, SMS or something else. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's enough from me. I hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you later this afternoon.
Point it to the ground and in a hovering situation determine whether a pilot or someone on the ground was alive or dead. Because that made a difference then to them as to how they would occupy, you know, what they would do. Would they go all out to get the individual, or if it was a bad situation, would they pass? Well, the same technique, eating, rubble, rescue folks, they go all over the world, to all of the major disasters, etc. And they came to us and said, we need something that looks 30 feet, no more than 30 feet down. The history of getting people out from underneath the rubble says that if you're buried 30 feet or deeper, the odds of you getting out of there alive are slim to none. Then, so using the same radar, just in a handheld mode, what it does is it detects the heartbeat of the person. Rather, in this case, we're looking for saltwater body mass. The radar doesn't penetrate saltwater. Human body is made up of 70% saltwater, so therefore it doesn't penetrate the human body, and that's we see the reflections. In the other way, we're able to look at the heartbeat, and what Fairfax County wanted was a triage situation where as they described to us, one of their problems is you could be 4 feet under the rubble and have a heartbeat of 120 beats a minute, but be unconscious. And they would never know it, yet there could be somebody that's 18 feet under the rubble that has a heartbeat of 45 beats a minute, but is moaning. They can hear the moan, so that they would then dig to the 18-foot guy. They'd not get to him in time to save him, and miss the guy who's 4 feet down, who was 3 feet over from where they heard the voice, and they never knew he was there. So they would go right by him. So we were able to build it, demonstrate it, and then the Department of Defense ran out of money, which is not unusual.
They ran out of money. They ran out of money in that pocket.
And that's exactly it, sir.
These gentlemen were up here, like they were
So what's the technology?
it looks like that's right there.
We send out, there are 10 million pulses a second being sent out on a 45-degree beam. And the algorithm in there will concentrate on up to the first 4 largest targets. Targets are human beings. Amount of body mass, saltwater content. It doesn't see saltwater. So it goes through everything else and bounces back off the saltwater.
So the blue thing saltwater?
No, that's interference.
Oh, what's the red thing saltwater?
The red thing is saltwater. It would be a white blob.
And then when he came back,
Now, are you getting heartbeats out of this also?
Not out of this one. We were never asked to do triage.
Okay.
This is designed to determine whether there's somebody in that building or not, and how many people are they, and then everything is referenced to the operator.
Yeah.
So that's you, and that's a God's eye view of you. In other words, it's looking down on you, and you can set it for various range gates up to 10 meters.
I was about to say, because it's pretty close here right
That's
now.
exactly it. It should be set on 3 meters. Should say 3 meters up there?
3M.
3M, that's exactly right.
So that's a specific frequency attuned to saltwater.
That's correct.
Yeah, I can explain to you more technically.
Okay. Is this your world there, John?
Yeah, I've had 15 years.
What's the frequency?
1 to 3 gigahertz.
So you'd have to change it. If we wanted to scan, see if someone was in that building right now, we'd have to change the frequency.
No. You don't have to do anything. Automatically figures it all out, and we'll look. I'll walk up there and go see if I can see anybody in there in a second. All right, and it's now. I mean, it's really simple to operate. Turn it off. It just comes with a standard military lithium battery, rechargeable, 3 hours operation. And as I said, it worked very effectively in New Orleans. Mostly, this is sold to law enforcement.
How many people did it find in the world?
They will never tell us that. Let me put it this way. They found it to be most valuable when they were checking what they called high-value buildings, pharmacies, and other places. This is where they found people, where they weren't supposed to be. Most of the buildings that they checked in New Orleans, there was nobody there alive. Now you can look up in the ceilings and you can look down in the crawl space, but there has to be somebody there. If there's nobody there, it won't register anything. It has to be alive.
But the salt water does something different once you have?
Yes. Yeah, well, your body,
So you have to be moving.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, moving in a sense, it will catch you sleeping. All right, because your heart, well, the rise and fall of your chest. All right, that's enough movement to indicate that there's somebody in there. But you have to. I tell everybody, this is just like a pistol. All right, or a defibrillator or something else. You have to work at it. I mean, it's not something you can take out of the box. I can show you how to work it in 5 seconds. Real simple. You've obviously caught on right off the bat. But to be really good at it, you have to practice with it. The military and the police, we give them 3 days of training. After the 3rd day of training, they can tell dogs versus people. You can actually see this. With the system, you can begin to see where walls are in rooms and where blockages are. And it does not see through solid metal. So if you hid in a refrigerator, a common problem with children, we'd never see it. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know of anything would be able to do that. Now, if the refrigerator door was open, we'd be able to see it. But if it were totally closed, we'd never. Or
Now, vehicles?
well, we see. I mean, there's enough glass in the vehicle now, but I can't.
The software architecture is CHS and the VA DHCP Vista system. So I spent 30 years fighting that battle and gave up to do other stuff. So, anyway, I know the problems you're facing. Watching this for about 20 years. So.
Well, what we did is we took an insidious, below-the-radar approach and basically deployed an enterprise-wide infrastructure for delivering images from any facility to any other facility in an encrypted, compressed, reliable format. And now that we've done that, we're now using, we developed a distributed database technology. Well, we didn't develop the database part. We're using distributed database technology and combining it with a distributed archive file system that we call MAPS, and it's designed in such a way that we use XML files to index all volumes, and then we just pass around these really small XML files that can be executed on any machine, so you can very quickly and efficiently keep track of all data on all drives enterprise-wide, instead of trying to go to a central point. So my architecture, the business cards actually say distributed telemedicine on them. When I first came up with that moniker, it was sort of a unique joke because it actually works on about 4 different levels. Because our entire architecture is designed to be fully distributed and redundant, so there's no central point of failure. What we've done is we've built a very, very robust HL7, HL7 DICOM, HL7 CAP router into every one of our boxes. So the boxes have this very robust HL7 router, filter, forwarder, also combined with DICOM and all the different types of DICOM messaging. And then we put a web server that allows you to view all the information generated by the traffic passing through the box. And then we also put a firewall in the box so that basically everything going out to the base side of our box is encrypted, and anything that's an unencrypted port is blocked off, and everything on the imaging device side of the box is unencrypted, because the imaging devices don't know how to deal with stuff. We got invited to the Alta Prize, the National Capital Region Alta Prize.
Trying to get out of jail free.
No, I know. The last 7 years we've had a standing API that allows you to very easily shoot an HL7 message into the box, and that box spits back an HL7 message with either a URL that brings you to a thumbnail of any study, and of course with the information about what studies are available on that box. And if you hit one MedWeb box, you can actually set it up so that it'll tell you about any studies that exist on any other MedWeb boxes that are part of the same group. And, you define the groups as you choose the business rules. The other thing we did is
Is this only imaging, or what granularity or level of reference do you have on your technology?
Well, we can go all the way down. We support every single HL7 message available. So we have a complete full HL7 library. And the reason why we're used in imaging is because imaging is what nobody else could do. Because in addition to all that stuff, we put a 5-layer, basically it's a data encryption, compression, and routing protocol into the box, as well as bandwidth throttling and time forwarding. So what happens is, for example, on a Navy vessel, you put one of our boxes on board the vessel, and a lot of times the Navy networks are highly congested and poorly configured. So other vendors that had web-based image viewing tools couldn't actually display images anywhere outside of the radiology suite because they just wouldn't come up. By the time you got to the far end of the ship, there was just too much junk on the network and nothing would come up. With our stuff, we're using progressive wavelength compression, so you can actually